Hey, welcome to yet another episode of Brox and Max. Today is doing some more rebuild repair work on cat cylinders. I figured the bucket cylinder pretty much gives you the idea, but I'll shoot one video of what I'm going to do to repair the boom cylinder. I already did the one, so now I'm doing the second. I got it all spread out here so I can manage and do some work. But the whole objective as to why it's pretty important to do this type of work is this external seal here is pretty much gone. There's parts missing on it. It won't take long for contamination from dirt and dust to get down through there and wipe out the internal seals that really don't act as a seal. It's more of a compression thing to hold the oil back. So once these start to go, it won't take long that you can't even finish your job, and it's happened before. So I guess this is just a quick way of saying you got to fix it while it's in the yard. So I'm going to start unbolting some stuff, get that cylinder down, get the oil drained, and recover as much oil as I possibly can. I'll use some clean buckets because all I'm going to do is put it back in the machine. And basically you're going to see how we repack the cylinder. Before I release this, I might as well show you why I'm doing what I'm doing. I got it chained up safely. I put that cleat back on so the chain won't slip off on me. I want to get this barrel relatively level to be able to get this rod out and then be able to put everything back together in more of a level scenario. It's just a lot easier. You're not fighting yourself so much. And it's all slinged up. I didn't damage the barrel using my strap here, and it's safely hooked up. I mean, I guess the strap could fail, but it didn't on the last one, so we're good to go with that. I'm going to unhook this from the forklift and rehook it differently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start the machine back up and put the rod all the way in, because the pressure on this side is pushing the piston inside the barrel all the way through. So when I go to crack this line to retrieve all of the hydraulic oil, a majority of it will be on this side of the cylinder, and there won't be hardly anything on the end of it. It's a little bit time consuming, but it also doesn't make a mess. Any of you that have never seen this done before, why did this cylinder move and why did the boom stay put? Well, hydraulics are lazy. It's going to choose the path of least resistance, just like a differential rear. When you have a limited slip rear end, it's going to slip first at the least amount of pressure. That's where differential locks come in. But in this particular case, it's dead in the water when it's like this. It's only going to move this cylinder. Now granted, I did move the hydraulics really slow because I don't want this boom, or how I have it set, to move, because nothing will collapse. Everything is resting, so the bucket isn't going to move, the boom isn't going to drift any further down than it already is. It's basically gravity is holding everything. So I know I'm not going to have an issue. As you can see in that piece of footage there, it did have a little bit of pressure behind it, but not bad, because there isn't any pressure. There's no boom hook to it. It just had a little bit of whatever was behind the piston, behind the barrel, and it really wasn't as bad as it looked. Just a couple coffee cups of Speedy Dry and it's all cleaned up, and by the end of the day it's going to be soaked up in the Speedy Dry and throw the Speedy Dry away. So I'm going to carry on here, drain this bucket, and when it's done filling, I just put it back in the machine. Clean bucket, clean oil, and I'll start taking the bolts apart and get this rod out. That went pretty uneventful. A little bit of oil got lost, but not bad. You're probably wondering, okay, judging from the bucket cylinder video, you had the rod pinned to the machine, now you have the barrel on the machine. So how are you going to break this nut loose? Well, this falls under all of the many videos that I've made about saving stuff, and I guess being some type of a hoarder. We have this bench here, and I guess it's going to be our cylinder bench. We're not in the cylinder rebuilding business, but I guess we are today. This bench was given to me probably 20 years ago now. A guy that used to paint our equipment, he had it sitting out there rusting away. And I said, what are you doing with that? He goes, if you can get it out of here, you can have it. It's got a 1-inch top on it. It was obviously in some type of a manufacturing place, I don't know where. And it's got all these weird machining holes, whether it had some type of a robot or something automated on it. And it also had these humongous holes here. I mounted this vise on, which I'm pretty sure I got that for free also. So I have these two big holes, and I got to thinking, I can pin this rod to the bench and break that nut loose. All I had to do was grab my spacer here. Now this spacer is actually a roller from a concrete drum that on the back of it, that it spins around. This rides on the bottom of the concrete drum. And it had bearings in it, obviously they're gone. But I'm going to use that as a spacer. And all I had to do was make a 4-inch hole in my tabletop here. Use a spacer to keep the rod from scratching all the chrome on the bench itself. And then I've had this old pin. It doesn't fit anything that we've had. I found that in the scrap a long time ago. And when I was doing this job for these 2 cylinders, I thought to myself, how am I going to pin this down to this bench? Well, I have a great idea. So this is actually 3 7/8. So it's not significant at all. There's nothing special about how I'm doing this. It's just me saving stuff. So like I said in the first video, I made this socket 15-20 years ago. It's a 4-inch, just made out of some scrap steel, just enough to break that nut loose. And this tube is for the cheater bar, but in the bucket cylinder video, I had to auger out that internal to be able to fit that snout all the way onto my socket. So that in turn, I had to get rid of my square drive, because once we were able to break it loose, I would stick my 1-inch impact in here, which the square drive was here, and it would spin the rest of it out. So I don't know what to do now. So we have axle nuts and stuff like that. It probably would do the job. Well, I was looking around online last night thinking, you know, what can I do for this? And of course it's now, because we're doing the project now. So I'm on Facebook Marketplace. I checked eBay, and I was on Facebook Marketplace, and then all of a sudden, I came across this in my area locally for $50. 4-inch snap-on impact socket. Perfect for my job that I have going on. I'm so ecstatic about anything that I find online, and it just happened to be the stars aligned perfectly. So I'm going to try this out and see if it works. saw how hard that gland came off. There really isn't anything wrong with it, other than, look at that, the seal just came apart, just breaking it loose from the rod. This seal is junk. But other than that, the insides are still usable, but it wouldn't be for long, because look at this, it's just coming apart. Took all that stuff off, and that's what was left. I would say it's time to change that out. Bring this in the shop, clean it up, reseal it, and put all this back together. operator got his toy back.